Ah, well, what's happening, people? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the post-game player ratings. And in this case, this is going to be for Bayern Leverkusen versus Arsenal Football Club in the Champions League knockout round of 16, where the final result finished 1-1 at the Bay Arena. I believe that's what they call it over there in at Bayer Leverkusen. Now I'm doing this one as I'm currently watching Real Madrid versus Manchester City in the Champions League at the time of recording, and that is 3-0 at halftime for Real Madrid. So, whilst I watched the Arsenal result and I was a little pissed off, um, I'm watching the Real Madrid Man City game, and you can call it a hate watch if you like, because I am happy to see Real Madrid up 3-0 at halftime against Man City, a depleted Real Madrid, mind you. But anyways, we're not here to talk about that. We're just quickly here to go over the game and the player ratings for the Arsenal game. And quite disappointed in the performance, to be honest with you. Um, Another dreadful, slow, lethargic, um, energyless performance, in my opinion. Just lacked the courage and the enthusiasm. It was still more of the safety first, risk averse type football that we've become accustomed to with Arsenal this season and under Mikel Arteta. And to be honest with you, I'm not enjoying it. And I listen. I said at the place that we're in, and I stand by this. If we win trophies playing like this, I'm not going to have a problem. But at this moment in time, we haven't won anything yet. We are still in all comps, but we are scraping over the line. I'll tell you guys this now. We are definitely scraping over the line. Um, man, like we're getting results or we're getting points or we're winning games, but it's by we're just about doing it. I'm not really seeing a team at the moment who's going out and grabbing games by the scruff of the neck to take them to try and win them, to be courageous to try and win them. Where we're getting it, you know, again with a safety first approach, playing the percentages and hoping for a break essentially. And that's how it felt like this game. We started strong, we did start well. Gyökeres got their captain Andrich, is it? Andrich? Got him booked early doors, and he could have had a second, maybe lucky not to get a second yellow card in the first sort of 5 minutes. Um, their captain, but we did start pretty decently, and then we just fizzled out. Started on the front foot, a couple clear cut chances, and one thing that we've always said is you tend to get more, open spaces in the Champions League, spaces to run into. And I did find early on Saka, Martinelli, Eze, and Gyökeres were, able to get some freedom and some spaces in behind to try and cause trouble. And the way we started the game is how I felt we were going to go on. I thought we can get some goals here with the way we were finding some spaces in behind and um but it wasn't to be. Leverkusen settled into the game, and that was always going to be the worst thing for us. We played pretty, possession patterns without actually penetrating and without anything threatening. I can't recall really any shots on target or shots, attempted aside from some good combination play between Timber, Eze, Gyökeres, Martinelli, where at the end of it, Martinelli hit the post. And the chance that I'm referring to is early in the first half. If you guys recall, Timber had the ball sort of on the right fullback channel in their half, played a ball into the 18-yard box that sort of went in the direction of Eze. Eze dummied it to Gyökeres. Gyökeres then took a touch, turned, played it out wide left to Martinelli. Martinelli took a touch and then struck it with his left, which hit the crossbar. That was our best chance of the first half, and for large portions, that was our best chance of the whole game going late into the second half. Um, and to be honest with you, it was just yeah, after that, there was nothing really going on for us in terms of us actually, looking threatening, even looking like we were going to score. Um, yeah, the rest of the half just sort of fizzled out, and I was just yeah, I just wasn't inspired by what I was watching, and then it became more of the same from what we've been seeing all season. Like I said, just just lacking anything urgent, That's disappointing. Like teams that go on to win leagues or go on to win Champions Leagues or big trophies and big titles, like you see them the approach play is a lot more than what we see from us at the moment, right? It's more aggressive, it's more on the front foot, it's more direct, it's more never giving your opponent a moment's rest. But again, we just look happy to do this slow buildup and play on the halfway line and knock it back to our defenders and circle around, U-shaped football from one flank to through to our defense, through to the goalkeeper, all the way around to the other flank. U-shaped football, nothing direct, nothing really, penetrating. The patterns of play weren't very quick. It broke down a lot. There was a lot of loose touches, a lot of loose passes. Um, to be honest with you. And so that being said, I'm going to get into the individual player ratings now. Um, let's start at the back. David Raya didn't really do anything wrong. Wasn't at fault for the goal. They scored off of a set piece from a corner kick. So it wasn't really anything Raya could do per se. A couple times he came out, of his 18-yard box to sweep a long ball that they would have played over the top. He does that quite well, Raya. He's obviously, quite high off his line at times, quite high out of the box to anticipate when the opposition will play balls over the top, and he swept up what he did, what he could, and yeah, he didn't do much wrong, if at all, to be honest. I thought he was okay, tidy in possession, so I'll give him a 7. Timber, an up and down game for me. Again, the positions when he gets caught out sometimes, whenever teams transition on us and we all have to shift across as a back line because Timber's out of position. I notice oftentimes just yeah, pretty much just that, right? If we lose the ball and the opposition will play the ball out to their left flank or our right back area, Timber is never to be found. So Saliba will have to come across or Zubimendi will have to come across and cover for when Timber's not there. So when we're in possession, we ask Timber to get very high up the pitch and he takes up these precarious positions, Timber. I've noticed, and that has to be an instruction from the manager. Timber finds himself high up the pitch in a lot of phases of play, which is interesting because he's not even if he was a really good attacking, like if he was like an attacking Hakimi style attacking fullback, I would get it, but he's not quite like he's not great. He's not the best going forward, Urian Timber, in my opinion. So why we try and use him as sometimes the highest man in our attacking phases is strange to me because, like I said, when we lose it, he's out of position, and we're all kind of scrambling over to cover him, which is fine. We tend to do decently, but um, yeah, it's strange how we use Timber at times. Um, but anyways, yeah, I thought he had an up and down game. Nothing great. Again, sometimes when we're in possession going forward, sometimes he doesn't make the right decision or sort of lethargic with his passing and wayward with his passing. And today was a mix of that. A couple good passes, like I said, the pass that went into the box in the first half that led to Martinelli hitting the crossbar, that did start from Timber, and that was a good sort of ball he looked to play into the box early. But again, there's a couple other times where it broke down, maybe taking too long on the ball and there's no real assertion with his approach play. Um, so I thought he was a 6. I'll give him a 6. Saliba, he looked rusty. I don't know what's going on with him at the moment, Saliba. Maybe it's the injury. If I say I don't know what's going on, but some could say the injury might be affecting him. Um, or maybe, a rust after being off for a bit. Maybe that week's break, maybe he didn't train. He wasn't maybe in full training in most sessions last week prior to the Mansfield game in the FA Cup. So um, yeah, maybe you question his match sharpness at the moment. Sometimes when he is out of the team, Saliba, and then comes back in it after a little bit of a layoff, it does take him a while to get up to speed. But loose passes, looked uncomfortable and looked troubled a little bit with the striker dealing with him. Um, he just looked a little bit uncomfortable today, and his passes and his touches weren't the greatest. So to be honest, I can give Saliba a 5. I wasn't really encouraged by his performance. Gabriel wasn't horrible either, but we weren't called upon too much defensively. Um, I would say for him to be, really sort of stand out either way. But he made a couple good blocks in the first half. One that sort of he made with his chest to neck area, which looked like it was painful. He always gets himself in front of shots to block them. He commits himself and commits his body all the time. Never any questions about him and his commitment to the cause. Um, So maybe because we drew and I didn't like the performance, I'm in a little bit of a bad mood with it. So mark him down a little bit. I'm torn between a 6 and a 7 with Gabriel. Um, I'll give him a 6.5, to be honest with you. Um, Yeah, and I'll give him a seven. I'll be kind and give him a seven. Maybe that's too high, but you guys let me know what you think. In Capier, again, didn't do anything either way. The defense weren't really too much of a problem this game. We're looking more so what we're doing in attack or what we didn't do in attack essentially. Um, and so Hincapié, I mean, I'm gonna give him, return to his old club, six. Nothing stand out, nothing really there. Give him a six. Um, but I do still think Gabriel was slightly better um than the rest of the back four. So that's why I give him a seven. Like I said, he blocked a couple shots and tried to lead by example. So he was slightly better than the defense overall, but the defense didn't really have to do much. Midfield, Zubimendi back in the team. Um, I'm gonna give Zubimendi and Rice both the same rating. They were both back in the team. Didn't really inspire either way. Again, just passing the ball around, knocking it side to side, and passing it amongst the back line into midfield, back to the back line, because we weren't really, sort of playing between the lines and playing sharp, incisive passes forward. So they would often circle about, get touches on the ball, look pretty busy, go to collect it, but they would just maybe again lay it off to, another defender or fullback or there wasn't too much in terms of direct potency from either of them. So I think they both get a similar rating. Um, yeah, I can give them both a six, man. And maybe that's being kind. Um, didn't really start attacking phases for us and that would carry us forward into anything meaningful. So yeah, no, I'm gonna give them both a six. Eze wanted to see more from him. Five. I'll give Eze a five, straight down the middle with that one because again he started bright because he was part of some of the opening phases of play, the attacks that we tried to build in the first probably 10 minutes of the game, 10, 15. Was part of that build-up play again that led to Martinelli hitting the crossbar where Timber played it in. It was Eze's dummy, smart dummy, that went to Gyökeres and then Gyökeres to Martinelli. So, but again, the way he started, I thought it was going to be a positive game for him, but just fizzled out. Nothing, was really running through him. Yeah, no, he didn't damage the opposition enough for me. Didn't damage the back line enough for me. Get on the ball to make incisive passes. Didn't have really any shots. Five, kind of anonymous, to be honest with you, especially in the second half. Could have come off earlier than he did. Saka, poor. Probably one of his poorest games all season. I don't know. He didn't look right. And I don't know what's going on with him at the moment. We're gonna have to have conversations about him, but I didn't like his performance, and I'm actually questioning whether or not he should start on the weekend um, against Everton in the Premier League because the guy who came on for him in this game, we'll talk about shortly, had a much bigger impact in the short span that he was on compared to what Saka had. So yeah, no, Saka was very poor in this game, probably his worst performance of the season. I didn't like how he was playing, and again, new contract, big wages. We love him, star boy, star man, whatever, but that doesn't excuse you for how you played. If you're gonna play like that, um, you should be sitting. And there's conversations whether or not, like I said, he should be sitting next game. You might have to earn his place back because I did not like the way he played today. One-on-one needs more sauce, as I say, needs more trickery, needs more of that cage football, that street football flair. Like not just yeah, one-on-one, you think you can go on Saka, beat him, like do something, and then just trips over or loses it or runs into the defender. It's just poor today. And his passes weren't connecting either. He's getting dispossessed. Even at times muscled off the ball, which is something you rarely say about Saka. So probably his worst game all season, if I'm being completely honest. I'm going to give him a two. Didn't do anything. Martinelli, another Martinelli performance. As much as we have high standards for Saka, I don't even expect much from Martinelli. There is no high standards and nothing really to expect from him. Like I said, at the end of the season, I'd love to see the back of him. Um, with all due respect, unless it's a bench role, and it's a serious bench role, like third choice winger off the bench, third choice left winger, if we're gonna have squad depth. But if someone were to come in for big money for him, I'd be looking to cash in, to be honest with you. Um, yeah, Martinelli for me gets a what do you give him? Three. Didn't do anything either way. Ran at the defender a couple times, and he did hit the crossbar, but again, after that, fizzled out. I'll give him a four, Martinelli. Gyökeres. Started bright, just like the rest of the attackers, but fizzled out. Um, I wasn't too encouraged by how his play was overall. He did well to get the captain, their captain Andrich booked in the first couple minutes of the game, span him, turned him well. But it didn't really lead to anything after that. Um, yeah, Gyökeres had another sort of Gyökeres performance where he tried to look busy, tried to get about the pitch. Um, and particularly, he needs to work on his link-up play still. Sometimes when he gets the ball or finally settles it and gets it under control, and he looked to make the pass, he's still not fully in control of the situation, and sort of it looks rushed or it looks hurried, and the pass will go out of bounds. We saw it a couple times with his back to goal today, where he tried to link up and play with Martinelli, play the ball straight out of bounds. Saw it one time with Saka down the right channel in the first half, tried to get the ball under control in the channel, turned, looked to play it back to Saka, with his left foot straight out of bounds. He needs to work on that. At this level, that's kind of unacceptable. You're a professional footballer. Get the ball under control. You're a professional striker. Get it settled, play, look to make the pass. Don't rush it. Don't panic, settle the ball and just play a simple ball to your players. Just link up. Just needs to be overall better. So I'm also going to give Yoker as a four. Didn't even have a shot really. Um, Also could have had more service, but didn't. That's the story of our season and how we play. Um, so maybe the service is lacking, but from what he did have when he had the chances, aside from a decent start, not much going on there. So I give him a four, as I said. Off the bench, this is where it gets more positive. Let me just run through the bench quickly. Um, bench. Where are we here? So I mean, obviously we know who came off the bench for us. Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz. Why did I struggle to remember this? Kai Havertz, Madueke, Jesus. Who else came off the bench? Anyone? No. Kai, Madueke, Jesus. So Jesus standard five didn't really do anything. Barely touched the ball. Madueke, man of the match, led had the action that led to the penalty. Um, Fortunate penalty, potentially. I'll talk about it. We'll talk about it tomorrow, I'm sure, on the podcast with Merdad and Laurent. Fortunate penalty, but Madueke, one thing he'll always do is run at defenders, run at fullbacks, cause problems that way because that's what he does better than Saka, to be honest with you. It's just he'll constantly be a threat. Running at fullbacks, doesn't hesitate, constantly, never gives you a moment rest as a defender. He'll continue to run at you with intent and with purpose. And that's what I like about Madueke's game. And that's what led to the penalty that we had in this game is Madueke running into the box, forced the defenders to commit to lunge. Again, was it a penalty? Was it not? I'll reserve my response to that and my thoughts on that for the podcast that we do with the boys. But yeah, thankful for Madueke. And it wasn't just that. Prior to that, he was finally the only one showing some directness, showing some running power and pace, and looking to be direct and make things happen, Madueke. So in his short stint that he came on for, he came on in the 60th minute, give him man of the match, to be honest with you, which is not saying a lot for the rest of the players out there. So for Madueke, thank you for your contribution. If it wasn't for you, we probably lose the game. 7.5, I'll give him for that performance. I said Jesus standard five and Kai Havertz. Last but not least, the boy returning to Leverkusen, his old club, scores a crucial penalty. So for that, honestly, that alone will give you a seven because if you don't score the penalty, we don't win. Sorry, we don't get anything from the game. And then we're scrambling. To be honest with you, we're not scrambling. We're not maybe not even panicking, but a loss doesn't look good going back to the Emirates. It just makes our job 10 times harder. So he scores a crucial penalty. Not easy to do. Let's not underestimate that penalty. It was a good penalty back at his old club. Mixed receptions, mixed emotions. Needed to score there to get us something out of the game, and he did in a pressurized situation. So yeah, I'll give him a seven for that, Kai Havertz. So yeah, there you have it. Referee was shit. More to be talked about, or maybe not even talked about, because maybe we don't even give him some airtime. But I was not impressed with the referee. He was all over the place. Um, Aside from that, Mikel Arteta's overall rating, I mean, his subs, Madueke and Havertz changed the game, I guess. Madueke especially, and then Kai Havertz converted the penalty. So you got to say the subs worked, but again. question marks for me over how we're playing. Style of play is not great, and I'll get more into that tomorrow on the podcast with the boys, because again, there is concerns and warning signs there. We need to start taking the game by the scruff of the neck and being more aggressive and assertive on games. There is no hiding place if you want to win titles and championships. You got to go out and assert your dominance, not passive, hoping and waiting and praying for something to happen. That's not how it works. And that's what this performance was, just off the back of what we've been playing for most of the second half of the season, at least, is just cautious approach play, safety first, risk averse. So yeah, I didn't enjoy the game, not for the first time this season. Not didn't enjoy watching us. Um, but again, his contribution, his subs gave us something in this, and I guess he made the right subs, you can say, by bringing those guys on who got us, a draw in this game. So, I mean, overall, I'll give him a 6.5. Arteta. 6.5 is fair enough. Listen, let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna get back to watching the rest of the Champions League football. Um, at the end of the day, 1-1 draw in Germany. We take it back to the Emirates next week, and let's hope that we can win the game to go through to the next round. Okay, so this has been CJ from the Gunners Corner. This has been the player ratings. Stay tuned for more content to come. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you guys in the next video. All right, take care. Bye bye.